What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. That man over there, if you're watching, that man with the sexy bald head, that's Cam Underwood. He is the managing editor at stateoftheu.com. It is simply the best website to get all of your Canes coverage. Go check it out right now as soon as you're done watching or listening to this. I'm Brian the Beast London. You can follow me on Twitter at Miami Radio Beast. You can follow Cam at Underwood Sports. He's drinking his coffee. I'm drinking my coffee because we need to dive into all of this from yesterday. We're recording this Sunday morning. Yeah. Yesterday, Cam, the Hurricanes took the field at Lane Stadium, one of the toughest places to play, one of the most intimidating environments I've ever been to, and I've been there several times. Listen, Virginia Tech fans are some of the nicest people, but as soon as they get into that stadium and Enter Sandman plays, they turn into just a raucous group, and it is a tough place to play. So I do want to say this, before we dig into the good, the bad, the ugly from the game.
Okay,
I want everyone to keep in mind as we're thinking about, did Miami score enough? Did Miami do enough? And all of that, and we'll talk about the CFP in the second segment. Miami went on the road and played in a really tough environment. And won a conference game. Okay. I don't think we can forget that as we deal with the minutia of the game, right? A win. I think you wrote this in the good, the bad, the ugly on stateoftheu.com. Like, a win is something. It's hard to do in college football. It's hard to do on the road. So keep that in mind. I think that's important. And for those not watching, Cam is vigorously agreeing with me.
I'm just nodding because, you had the opening monologue today, and I mean, it was a great monologue, and I appreciate it. And, hello and welcome to everybody. But yeah, man, I mean, look, like, winning games is hard. Like, you remember, like, we heard that from Mario in the first year, 5-7. We heard that for 3 years from Manny Diaz. You just got to find ways to, like, get to the end with more points than the other team. And like, this team has done that 9 out of 11 times this year. I know that the 2 times that they didn't are frustrating, and I mean, just nightmare fuel. Especially, I mean, the Louisville loss. Like, that's yeah. I mean, they're mid. They are. I know that they're 7-4 heading into their final game, Louisville, that is. And I know people want to say, oh, well, they got blown out yesterday by SMU, but they were missing their quarterback and 2 running backs. Again, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about if Miami did what Miami needed to do and Carson Beck didn't throw them the ball 4 times. So whatever. But all that being said, it is a notable achievement to go and win a game. Excuse me. It is also a notable achievement to go and win a game where you double the amount of points of your opponent. And, like, yeah, unfortunately, the defense or the opponent scored more points than you would have liked, but you scored double their amount. Like, Miami had the ball but 8 times yesterday.
That's right.
And scored on 6 of those 8 possessions. Now, you can talk about why there were only 8 possessions or whatever, but, you're a couple of plays away from 42 points. Alex Bowman, another tight end, dropped a touchdown.
Yep, correct.
Through contact, and there was a holding penalty on another drive that, those 2 drives ended up in 3 points each. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but it is noteworthy to go and win a game. Miami did that. Miami led the final, actually, let me go look because I leave the stats feed up for this very reason. Miami led the final, let me see, 15. So the final, 43 minutes of this game by double-digit points.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we would have liked it to be a larger double-digit number, but, bro, this was
exactly. Yeah.
This is not close.
All right, so I do want to get into the good things, right? And I'm sure a lot of these you'll agree with me. Carson Beck was in a groove yesterday. Like, he was on his yesterday, just really dishing. making good decisions, hitting guys with in the right places. I don't think he was sacked. He was hurried maybe a couple times, but like just a really good game, really clean game from him. And again, on the road in a very loud environment. And of course, they did have the one snap situation. We'll get to that. But otherwise, it was really almost a perfect game from him. So that was good.
Sorry, let me just
go ahead,
Carson
please.
There.
Yeah.
This was the Carson Beck that we paid for. This is the Carson Beck.
By the way, literally.
I mean, like, no, and I say it literally. Like, yeah, this is the one that we expected to see. Maybe not every single game, because I know he's not Cam Moore, but 27 of 32 for 320 yards and 4 tuds. Again, that includes a dropped touchdown by Alex Bowman, so that could have been 5 tuds, right? If he plays through contact like a grown-up as a 23-year-old tight end, and whatever. And there was another, where Carson got heated up on pressure and the wind took the ball when he was trying to hit Malaichi out of the backfield.
Yep.
Right. That might be a touchdown. So you could easily, with one throw that hit the guy in both hands in the end zone, and then he played like a wuss and dropped the ball on not even really that hard contact, and a throw that sails. And again, you're talking 85% completions. You're setting records if you get both of those, right?
Yeah.
And the Alex Bowman drop that turned into a field goal, so it's not even like that was replaced with another one of the other touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Carson was just, and we needed it because of other things that we'll get to. But this is the Carson Beck that we paid good money for. This is the one that we wanted to see, needed to see, and just further supports what Shannon Dawson said last Monday when he said, I know the result of the game didn't go Miami's way, but the things in the way that I saw Carson play at SMU, I knew he was going to go on a heater. And since then, I think he's like almost 80% completions with 900 something yards and 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a receiving touchdown in the last 3 games. That'll work.
Yeah. He's been good. He's been good, man. I think, again, he said it a few games ago that, hey guys, I had my entire elbow reconstructed and it's taken me a while to feel like I'm myself.
I mean,
I just listen, whatever you think of Carson Beck and how good he is or what level he's at or whether he's a pro quarterback or, it was in the Heisman race, not anymore, all of that stuff, whatever you think, I just give the kid credit from coming back from that injury and a devastating injury for a quarterback and basically having 0 reps with anybody until into fall camp. And it's gotten you this far. I give the kid credit.
I give him credit also. I'm also just going to say, the issues that we saw from Carson Beck had nothing to do with physical limitations.
Oh, no, I understand.
You know what I mean? So, I get that there's a little bit of that for mitigation, but, his elbow wasn't the reason that he threw the ball to Louisville 4 times.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? His elbow wasn't the reason that JoJo Trader dropped that ball at SMU and then it ends up getting intercepted, which I know goes on his record. You know what I mean? So, it does feel like there's a little bit of a image rehab tour because, he played a couple bad games. Things happen. But, he was also dealing early in the year. So, it's funny to me where it's just you're bringing that up now. And, you weren't saying that after, what if when he floated that ball that Cormani McLean undercut in zone and intercepted at Florida, and he's just hey, had an elbow reconstruction. I tried to put everything I had into it. It's not fully there. I'm still working it back. If in that, and I know you're never going to say that, but if in that moment it was said, it'd be one thing, bro. We're in the penultimate, week of the season, and you're talking whatever.
All of your points are very well taken. I just wanted to go macro and say,
okay,
his journey here at the University of Miami. Like, let's not take it for granted, even though there's been some screw ups. Okay,
that's funny because I'm usually Mr. Macro View, and you're Mr. Microscope, digging into right now.
By the way,
I'm
Mr. Negative, evidently, but I'm going to take my
aggressive pettiness. You are.
I know.
And you know it. So don't sit here like that.
Yeah, by the way, just to take everyone behind the scenes, I was talking about style points yesterday in our group chat, and I was
several people in the group chat.
Yes, and I was being accused of being negative, but at that time, I was not being negative about Miami. I was being negative about the damn system and what Miami what Miami needed to do to impress old white guys. In any event,
the negativity transcends.
Yes,
topics.
Yes, it does.
So,
okay,
yes, that's
I will work on that, and we'll deal with it with my therapist the next time I see her.
Tuesday too, I get it.
No, it's every other Thursday at 10, but regardless. Malaichi Toney, I'm running out of words and thoughts about this young man. He had a career high in receptions, career high in yards. I don't know how he gets open when literally every team knows, hey, this kid's good. We should probably try to take him away. Cam, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have words. He's unbelievable.
He's incredible. Shout out again to Shannon Dawson for finding different ways to get him the ball. Now, I know Malaichi had 12 catches. I believe 5 or 6 of those were jet touch passes, which count because it goes to Carson, and then it was the touch forward thing. But you had a lot of catches on that. But then also on the last play of the game, in a FU to the committee moment, hey,
right.
You remember it literally was Malaichi Toney's first ever high school game on national television and American Heritage. And he scores 2 touchdowns early, and they interview him on the sideline. And they're like, go through it and everything. And he's a freshman in high school. And he goes, I went to the quarterback and I told him, dude guarding me, he not good as me. Throw me the ball. That last play of this game was that in college. He not good as me. We call a timeout on 4th down. Throw me the ball. Slot fade. I know. You could tell when they came out of the huddle from the alignment, they said, I don't even need that little short motion.
Right.
Line me up. Put me there. Slot fade. He not good as me. It was uncanny, the direct parallel to that. This kid is everything and more. He also had rushing yards. He also had another completion. This time, he looked off 2 guys on his trick play route, or his mobile route. And then Cam Ward sidearms it for a 15-yard completion. Yeah. What are we doing? This kid is incredible. And I'll leave you with this. In talking with another Canes fan friend of mine, I did look up the numbers. At this point, Malaichi Toney has 844 receiving yards as a true freshman. That puts him 91 yards away from breaking Ahmad Richards' freshman receiving record of 944 yards. Ahmad Richards did that in 13 games. Malaichi has done his work in 11 games. So he could very well have set the true freshman or the freshman receiving record next week in that game. And when Miami continues their season after the regular season, it is all but a foregone conclusion that Malaichi Toney will go into the record books this current year. Whatever you want to say or think about him, inflate that even more. He's incredible.
I do want to give props offensively to Gerard Pringle and Mark Fletcher for catching touchdown passes. It was both great plays. I think, was that Fletcher's first TD catch?
Yeah, Fletcher's first career receiving touchdown on a check down flat route it was.
And the Pringle catch was a really good catch for a running back that's a freshman.
That I argue with another Canes fan friend of mine because he's like you. Nothing is ever good. He lets perfect be the enemy of good at every instance. This guy. And so, last week we were talking about, he said Carson overthrew, somebody on a touchdown. And I'm like, that was right in his hands. What are you talking about? This week, that wheel route, Carson threw it to the back of the end zone and said, "Go get it." And you saw the moment that Pringle looked up and saw that ball. He went, "Oh, shnikes. I got to run real fast." And he had to, when he cleared the linebacker, kick it into, I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th gear. I stayed up late to watch the F1 race. He put on the drag reduction system, DRS, for extra, speed down the straights. I mean, he had to really kick that thing into high gear to go get it, and made a spectacular diving catch there. So, yeah, really a great play. Just well done.
Offensively, again, Dalen Upshaw with the big catch. That was good to see. JoJo did have a catch. Josh Moore, which he was hurt. We found him on the injury report. He did make a catch. I like the fact that Carson threw to 8 different receivers. I always like when they spread the ball around, even though Malaichi had 12. Other guys got involved, and I like that. And then, moving to the other side of the football, I mean, we did limit them to only 200 passing yards. I
want to stop. The first player that I want to mention is the first player I mentioned, the good, the bad.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know where
defensive tackle Ahmad Moten Sr.
Yeah. Oh my God, he was on one yesterday.
Start there. He was incredible. He, for anyone. I mean, he set the standard, and he played at such a high level. I mean, this guy was everywhere. He was all over the stat sheet. He was in the backfield. He was just affecting everything. Stat line: 5 tackles, 3 TFLs, and 2 sacks. He chased down Kyron Drones on a late 4th down.
Yep, that's right.
And he had to run about 40 yards laterally to do it. And I mean, Kyron Drones is a big, fast dude, right? And you're like, okay, well, he's a mobile quarterback. Ahmad Moten got on his. And remember early in the year when Ahmad Moten kind of got twisted and turned around by CJ Carr in the opener, and then that allowed that first Notre Dame touchdown, right?
Yep.
Like, okay, and CJ Carr is not, I don't believe, as athletic as Kyron Drones. And he got on his horse and he went and got that man. Like, it was truly an impressive performance. They really couldn't block him in pass rush situations. He even did affect some of their run plays too. But yeah, no, Ahmad Moten Sr., I want to start there. Defensive MVP of the day. I thought that he really, really, really did a great job. Again, at the point of attack, where David Blay was missing yet again from the interior of the defensive line. Ahmad Moten Sr., shout out to him. Great, incredible job.
I also want to shout out Zechariah Poyser, who was all over the place yesterday. I think led the team in tackles.
10,
and
and a sack and a pick.
Yep, and a sack and a pick. Just unbelievable.
And a recovery, actually.
Yeah. Just unbelievable. Yesterday, and especially when you were missing guys all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, just an update: Jacoby Thomas, if you didn't catch Mario post game, he took a helmet to the arm, and I thought it was going to be broken, but it was not. Evidently, just bruised, and the X-rays were negative, and he should be okay for next week.
That is such great news, because the way that he was screaming, that you could hear by the parabolic field microphones.
He was writhing.
Well, I mean, you could see guys writhing.
But like
about the fact. No, I'm talking about the fact that you could hear him, because the big half parabolic microphones on the field.
I was
right?
in a loud.
You were in a loud bar. You couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
I was at home, so I could hear it. Right.
Yeah.
But like, he was writhing. You could tell, like, yes, he was in pain, but you could hear the sound on the broadcast of him screaming from the field, bro. Like, that was what was like, yo, that's what gave me pause. The fact that it is not broken and he should be able to return next week is huge, because, we played, put Bryce Fitzgerald at safety, you bring in Dylan Day at that nickel, slot kind of corner and everything to get through the game. And, I think that they did a good job and everything, but Jacoby Thomas was up there. I mean, I would put Keontae Scott first and then Jacoby Thomas second in the secondary in terms of performance this year. But I mean, it's both of those guys should be in the conversation for, all conference and all American team. You can debate which one, so like being able to get him back is going to be key. I also want to highlight Akeem Mesidor, tackle and a half, and tackle and a loss. 1.5 tackles for loss. Jesus, use your words. A sack and 2 forced fumbles. Justin Scott also. This dude has it all at defensive tackle.
His growth this year has been amazing.
If he's able to tap into his potential more consistently, he's a first-round pick. I don't know if it's after next year or after 2 years, but I mean, he is the prototype. I mean, he's 6'5", he's 315, 20 pounds-ish. I mean, he's big, he's fast, he's strong. Like, there's times when he's just like, I call it the insta-win from the CFB video game, like where you snap the ball and all of a sudden the defensive tackle is in the backfield. He does that in real life, bro. Like, this dude, his talent level his potential is unlimited. And you're starting to see it more. And it's not necessarily consistent yet. It's not like every play. It's not like Ndamukong Suh is his last year at Nebraska, where it's just like, oh my God, every single snap, he's an unblockable force. He's a bull in a china shop. Yeah. But you're seeing more of those plays from him in moments, especially in moments that matter. So, like, remember, I started this with Ahmad Moten Sr., and then now I'm waxing poetic about Justin Scott, and they started next to each other. Like, yeah, this defense has tons and tons of dudes. Shout out to Damari Brown for incredible lockdown coverage. I know that he bit on a double move on fourth down, and it led to their final touchdown. I know. I am not letting perfect be the enemy of good. He played, another 57 lockdown snaps. He affected the run game. He blitzed from nickel corner, and things like that when he moved around the defense. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, he did really, really well. But also, he got beat. He had a play that he's going to want back. All of these things can live in the same universe. And I'll leave it there. But yeah, I was really, really there were things to like on defense. There were things not to like, but we're still on good.
Yeah, so let's switch from good unless you have anything else. Dylan Joyce was good.
Dylan Joyce was very good in his 2 punts.
Yeah.
Carter Davis made both of his field goals.
Yep.
I wish
on a windy day. Yeah.
On a windy day, I wish that he didn't have to attempt field goals, but there was that. And I'm good to leave it there with good.
All right, so let's get to the bad. Let's just kind of combine the bad and the ugly.
Yes.
I'll just say this. Generally speaking, in football, now this can waver, but generally speaking, as far back as I've ever known anything about the game of football, you want to be able to run the ball and stop the run. And yesterday, Miami rushed for less than 100 yards and gave up almost 200 yards rushing. And that normally will mean a disaster. Now, Miami's good enough in the passing game and with pass defense and other aspects of the game to overcome that, but it certainly was a tad bit frustrating, or a lot more frustrating than a tad.
Miami had their second lowest rushing yards by total and by average yesterday. 83 yards, 2.77 yards per carry. The only game with a worse rushing total and average was the loss to Louisville, 63 yards with 2.63 per carry. So there's that. On the flip side, Miami allowed a season high 194 yards rushing, which, I mean, eclipses what Syracuse did, which is crazy. They rushed for 161. But so the most yards that they've allowed this season on the highest average, 5.25 a carry. So you were, I mean, as bad as you could be on offensive rushing, and worse than you had been all year on defensive rushing. this is something that I wrote about on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and you should check it out on StateEther.com. But when I was talking about coaching, Corey Heatherman came out on Monday and said Virginia Tech runs the ball. They cannot throw the ball. The number one thing that we have to do is stop and address the run. And then you come out and have the worst rushing defensive performance of the season. That's alarming. That's alarming. This team could do nothing. I mean, the fact that they were even able to throw for as many yards as they were because they hit a couple YOLO balls, you know, like I mentioned that play, you know, against Damari Brown, you know, late in the game and everything. That was a prayer. They hit like 3 or 4 prayer throws. You know what I mean? And that's what gave them any semblance of a passing game. But yeah, no, it was bad. It was ugly. It was, you know, basically as bad a performance as we've seen rushing the ball and conversely stopping the run at the same damn time. Yeah, I hated it. And that was what I was going to mention earlier about why Miami only had 8 possessions, because they ran the ball so much that the clock kept going.
Correct.
You know, and I'm like, dude, I tweeted it at the end of the first quarter, you know, before the referees, which is another thing.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Inserted themselves into things. I tweeted it out after the first quarter. I said, bro, the first quarter was like 31 minutes real time, which with 4 commercial breaks is insanity. It's insanity that 15 minutes of football, which we know the last 2 minutes can take an hour sometimes, but a 15-minute first quarter was 31 minutes real time. Bro, the game was flying by. But that's, you know, part and parcel with, you know, through the first couple of drives, Virginia Tech was averaging like almost 11 yards a carry. I looked at it during the time. I'm like, yo, what are we doing?
So let me ask you a question, because you know ball better than me. And plus I was, again, at a loud sports bar, and like my ability to actually pay attention was a little bit distracted.
And mainlining Cuervo and
no, I was all into my brown liquor yesterday. Yes, of various types. Yeah. What were the, like, why? What's the why as to why we could not stop the run and why we could not run the ball?
They tweaked a couple of things with their blocking assignments. They were really, really physical inside. And they used Miami's desire to get up the field against them in some instances with the run game. And like they accounted for that into the blocking scheme. So it's like, oh, we've seen on film that they're going to slant this way, so we're going to tweak, you know, inside zone or power or whatever to get that going on the inside. And on the outside, they just outflanked Miami almost every time and got the edge. So the way that they were pulling their guys, you know, from alignment with the tight ends and receivers to give them an ability to have a positive effect, setting and getting the edge and letting them go. All those things contributed to it. Mario Cristobal said it after the game, said we just got out-leveraged a lot, especially on outside runs by Virginia Tech. Like they did a lot of their damage between the hash mark and the sideline in the run game, which is not where you're going to have a preponderance of your yards.
Well, like I laughed because one of our Uber fans who literally does not miss anything that we do. Shout out to Doc Hoffman. Messaged me, slid into my DMs and said, yo, we gotta stack the box. We gotta put more people in the middle. And I was like, no, because that's not what's happening, but okay.
Right. It was at moments because, you know, they did eventually go to the, you know, the zone read or inverted veer, and then Jones kept it. And he gashed us for a couple big gains early. But yeah, most of it was going going outside the, you know, the B gap to, you know, outside the tackle and things like that. Also on the first play of the game, and this happened other times, but Bryce Fitzgerald and Xavier Lucas took 2 of the worst angles towards a running back that I've seen at any level. And I used to live around the corner from Washington Park in Hollywood, when I taught at Miramar, and I would drive down Pembroke and to and from my job at the high school. And there were some times when I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop and I'm going to watch some Optimist on Saturday morning after I was proctoring ACTs or whatever, right? So I go back and I would watch that. I hadn't seen angles that bad since I was watching the 5U Optimist at Washington Park. It was like, I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, and they were in space, both of them, right? It wasn't even like they were being blocked and affected by it. Like, they were looking at the running back and decided that it, and they took these terrible, terrible, terrible angles on the first play of the game, by the way. And if I go back to the play-by-play, which I have, if I go back to the play-by-play, that first play was 33 yards. And I'm like, dude, if this is what we're doing, then we need to do stuff differently, because you can't just be. It was. I don't even know. I don't even know. But it was two of the worst angles that I've ever seen, and unfortunately, they weren't that bad on subsequent plays, but I saw other similar type things where dudes in the back seven were just not fitting the run, when they were just taking these terrible angles, like not leveraging the fact that there's 10 other dudes out there with you and you need to do your job, and then like whatever. It was just, yeah. And Virginia Tech, credit to them. They knew that they couldn't pass the ball, and they found ways to scheme up the run and be physical to get there, inside or outside, that literally no one else had the ability to get the level of success that they had, which is a little troubling.
So, okay, yes, we did not stop the run. We did not run the ball enough. We also were back on it as it relates to the penalties. Whether you agree with some of the calls or not, I think it was 8 penalties. It was too many. And there was a couple. Was it on a special teams play? There was an absolutely mind-boggling personal foul that I think I almost broke my hand slamming the bar. I forget who pushed somebody down way after the play, but I literally was yelling at the top of my lungs. We cannot continue to do this crap. Like, I'm trying. It was at Fletcher. It was Fletcher. It was Fletcher after a play, I think, that threw somebody down.
It was during the play.
Yeah. No, well,
he was engaged with the guy, and it, I'm sorry, weight room, little guy. Like, if you don't want to get thrown around, if you don't want to get ragdolled in a physical sport, hit the weight room, eat more weights. Like, get big. Like, the fact that you want to do it, and then, technically, they said that, but, Virginia Tech is over there, and they're pushing and hitting players after the play. Mark Fletcher, basically, during the play, blocked the dude and flexed him. Get big. That's not a penalty. That's on the referees. That's not on the performance. Now, the Jabari Antoine unnecessary roughness on the punt return, yes. The late block in the back on a punt return by Ethan O'Connor that set Miami back at the 8-yard line on a punt, yes, cool. But the Mark Fletcher, nah, dog. I'm sorry. I'm defending Big Fletch on that one. Nah, no. That's a terrible call.
Again,
get some weight. Get your weight up.
Again, I was at a bar. All I saw was the replay of him tossing a dude, and I was like, oh, we can't do that. But I would just generally say eight penalties is just too much. And I think number 78 had his number called a couple times, whether it was an offsides or a hold. I think it was McCoy. And just we can't do anything to beat ourselves. And again, luckily, keep it in the frame of reference of we went on the road into a tough stadium and won the game by double digits. Let's keep that in mind. But if we're going to point out things that we can't do, penalties are one of them.
Yeah, you are correct. 9 penalties for 88 yards. There was also an offsetting penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct against Virginia Tech and Ruben Bain on the same play that was offset. So technically there were 10. 10 that occurred, 9 that were enforced against Miami. Yeah, I just don't. It's not good enough. I know people are all going to say, hey, the Cam Pruitt face mask.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, his hand
he got him by
the shoulder. Yeah.
He got him by the shoulder. And then he got the face mask on the way down. Now, I know a lot of people say, I had somebody go and paste the entire page of the rule book in response to my tweet on Twitter. Like, it was like they had to pay for Twitter Pro because I'm not reading all that, bro. Like, literally the whole entire face mask page or pages. I get that he let it go. Immediately. I get that it was like a catch and release, not a hold and grab, like a grab and hold kind of a thing. But I think that it was the right call in that moment, despite this, everybody dissenting. We can disagree, guys. I think it was the right call. I think it was a ticky-tack call. I think it was a 50-50-ish call. But, that's also a call that they're going to get. You know what I mean? And that was on a 4th down stop that allowed Virginia Tech to continue to have the ball, which then led to another score. So, yeah, that had a negative impact on the scoreline and things like that. And I know that was a contentious call, but you're going to call that. You just are, and we can debate if that was the right call or not. And again, this is me even admitting that the referees were caca. I don't think that they necessarily got that one wrong. I really don't. So I can be pragmatic in that kind of a way. I just thought that there were tons of plays that the referees got wrong. There was a catch and fumble on a play that they didn't even review for Virginia Tech. They didn't even review it, I don't believe. And that's Miami ball deep in the Virginia Tech, inside the Virginia Tech 35. It was just, yeah. So I will agree with what you said. So closing that out, penalties, too bad. So way too many. Got to tighten that up. Especially a lot of them were the performance penalties, unnecessary roughness, unsportsmanlike conduct, illegal block in the back, unsportsmanlike conduct. That was 3 of those were enforced because the offsetting one didn't happen or, right. wasn't enforced. But dude, and then face mask. And then 2 holdings, an intentional delay a game, fine. But just not good enough. Also, the referees, absolute caca.
Yeah. Well, that was my next topic. And I was thinking about this yesterday as I was leaving. I was like, why are ACC games so tough to watch? They're not when I watch SEC games or Big Ten games, I just it seems like a better watch from start to finish. And I was like, oh, wait, ACC officiating screws everything up. It just makes we're reviewing everything. And it's stop and start. It's throwing stupid flags. It's just, God, they're terrible. Yeah. They're literally the worst.
Literally the worst. And, asked about all the reviews and everything that slowed the game down because it did. After the game, Mario, he was joking, but he's just like, yeah, man, you get to know the referees really well because we're standing there talking during these reviews umpteen times a game. I'm not going to rage.
You could.
I'm going to simply state there's the clear and coordinated effort against Miami in the media and from this conference to the point where the ACC has put themselves to the forefront of we are showing the replay center on every game because the cameras are there.
Except for that one.
Except for the Miami game. So when all these plays and several which should have gone Miami's way are being reviewed, we're not showing it. But every other game, because again, you're not setting up a camera crew there. The camera that's there is not associated with a specific crew. You know what I mean? You have everybody who's in the replay center is there all day. So whoever is there all day. So it's there to be shown in all instances, except they never show it during the Miami game anymore. And it's just unacceptable. And it's such a clear thing. And I'm not going to rage about it. I just said it. I'm going to shut my mouth and move on.
Yeah. You know what? I hadn't even really, I knew they didn't do it yesterday, but I hadn't even thought about that we've gotten away from it during the Miami games.
During the Miami games, only and exclusively, I move on.
I mean, I hadn't even put two and two together. All right. We'll get to all the different CFP and ACC and all that stuff on the other side. But before we depart from the game, what do you got? Anything else that we need to talk about?
Yeah. It is abundantly clear that ESPN has sent the memo to everyone to downplay and deride the University of Miami at every turn. If you heard the audio in yesterday's game, you would have thought that this was the Virginia Tech student broadcast. And I know that ESPN, I mean, they're I'll call their names because they were on television. Bob Wischusen and Louis Riddick.
Yeah,
I know that they're professionals.
Yeah, they're two. I'll be honest with you. Bob Wischusen is one of the better broadcasters out there. And Louis Riddick, I mean, Louis Riddick's been considered for NFL front office jobs.
Right. It was unprofessional and clearly dictated from the network, all of the talking points. Because you, listening to the broadcast, you would have thought Miami was down by 4 touchdowns. You would have thought these things because it was, well, they have to be perfect. It was, they have to do oh, well, is Miami I'm like, we're up. We were up double digits for the final 42 minutes of the game. What are we talking about with escapes a scare? What?
Oh, and the headline that accompanied the announcing of Miami's win all across all of the ESPN networks was Miami playing in only their second game away from the state of Florida.
It's their first win outside the state of Florida this year.
Yeah,
That's
first
a
win.
Scheduling quirk. You know what I mean? Like we had 8 home games, a road game at Florida State, and then we talked about this in the off season, but all of if there's like once is an accident, twice is a trend, 3 times is evidence, and we have way more than 3 instances to support this. Then the post-game chyron on ESPN is Miami escapes scare. What are you talking about, bro? Like Miami's win expectancy was never below 90% on ESPN's win expectancy metric. Never below 90% ever in the game. That's escaping a metric. In the fourth quarter, it was never below 95%. Then
you know what?
You hear the other games doing the same thing. They're not even a Miami game. And what are the talking points? Miami style points. Well, Miami's didn't show enough. Well, Miami didn't da-da-da. Well, Miami, the only way forward is they have to hope that they're the coordinated propaganda effort to push down the University of Miami. Again, and in the eyes of the masses because it's wide across all of their networks. So you're talking the ABC national games, plural, ESPN, 2U, SEC network, ACC. You have many different outlets who are all taking a poo on the University of Miami for winning a game by double digits.
By the way, I love this because this has been the same thing, right, forever, which is we're going to crap on the University of Miami, but also they bring us some of the highest rated viewing that we could possibly have on any of our networks. It really makes no sense. But
yeah, yes, it's just it is clear that the College Football Playoff Committee told their media partners, we need you to say this about this team. And everyone is in lockstep. It is truly abhorrent, excuse me. It is truly unacceptable. And it further, I quoted myself on the State of the U Twitter, and I'm going to repeat what I've said on here, which is they're crafting, like they know the end result that they want, and they're crafting any path to get there. And even though it is using a different logical foundation than last year, a 10-2 Miami at 6-2 in conference that does not make the ACC Championship game will be left out of the college football playoff. Period.com into story. Now, that's also incumbent upon Miami winning next week at Pitt, which we'll talk about. But they've already laid the foundation through their coordinated propaganda efforts yesterday that Miami and Notre Dame are not at all. Now, it's like Notre Dame's undefeated in the eyes of people now. And they continue to give them credit for losing to Miami as a good loss, but not Miami the credit for beating them. And they've brainwashed everybody to believe that and align with them on that. And yeah, I feel myself talking a whole lot about it. So I know I'm going to leave it there, but just know I see it and I hate it, and it's unethical, and it goes against the eternal foundation of sport, whereas we play a competition against someone else, and someone wins and someone loses, and the winner goes forward over the loser, and and they are intentionally eschewing that specifically to hurt the University of Miami, and it's very infuriating.
Speaking of infuriating, I'm going to get infuriated because we have to continue to talk about the CFP, and then we'll go through. I don't know that I necessarily want to go through all of the scenarios that Miami can get into the ACC Championship game.
It's one scenario.
Well, yes. But Jordan McPherson from the Miami Herald did a good job of laying it all out. If you go to his Twitter, we will take a break. On the other side, we will get into all of that and more. Oh, and the game time and the line for the Pittsburgh game are out. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're listening and watching the Real Ones Canes podcast. Welcome back to the Real Ones Canes podcast. It is the recap show of Miami's win over Virginia Tech yesterday as we record this just about 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. We did talk about the game. We have to talk about all the other stuff. But first, I need to tell you about Cam Underwood. He's the managing editor at State of the U. You can follow him at Underwood Sports. If you're watching right now, you see his just amazingly sexy, shiny bald head. It just is radiant this morning as he sips on his coffee. And just thinks about the hours and hours he puts into stateoftheu.com. And the 4,000 articles he pumped out between the end of yesterday's game and right now. I'm Brian the Beast London, by the way. I don't pump out any content on any website. I do try to, Cam, by the way, I have, as I told you, I started a TikTok for the show, and I'm waiting for like some insight from the platform upon which we record this podcast. To get back to me as to how I can distribute in both a vertical and horizontal nature in order to put the show up on TikTok and all that stuff. But while I'm doing that, I'm just trying to post videos on TikTok and all of our YouTube channels and all that just to keep it hot and the seat warm so people can go find all that stuff if they want to. But let's get back to stateoftheu.com because, as I said, between the end of the game yesterday and right now, articles keep appearing by the moment. It's just ridiculous.
It's what we do, and we had plenty of time since it was a noon game and ended, as early as it did, which, my college football day was done by 10-something. It was crazy. But yeah, stateoftheu.com, we out here. Please come on and fan with us. You can create a free account, and you can post in the feed and, make comments on the articles. Justin DeTavio with the film review from yesterday's game. I've not had a chance to get into this because we're recording this here podcast, but it's always must view and read. Storm Center, my normal Sunday link dump, coming from yesterday. Miami opens as a favorite on the road over Pittsburgh in week 14. That game time and TV has been announced, noon on ABC. In case you were wondering, there is a path for Miami to get to the ACC Championship game. Good, bad, ugly, 3 stars, game recap, game thread, and more content coming for you. Always live, always free, always talking about our beloved Miami Hurricanes, stateofview.com. Come on over and fan with us. Let's have a good time.
And you can also jump into the feed and throw comments around and interact with all the people. And
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
By the way, speaking of that, you can jump into the comments on this video if you're watching on the YouTube, and you can give us your thoughts, and you can tell me to stop being negative, like I got told yesterday, and I need to learn this and take it in and embrace it and learn from it. You can also disagree with Cam, as you always do, for some reason, even if he makes correct and awesome points. I don't know why that is. But I think it's because you're jealous of how amazingly handsome he is. That's probably what it is.
This overhead light shining off of my head. Yeah, yes. I need to go on the YouTube with, I don't know what it is. I think that like when I go on my personal YouTube account, I don't see all of the comments because like Brian will send it to me, like Lisa will send it to me, and then I'll click it. I'm like, when I went in, I saw 3 comments. You send me a link and there's like 500,000 comments. I'm like, bro, like I was just on there. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you.
But I love the interaction. I love the engagement. Like, subscribe, send all the comments. Tell me I'm stupid. It's perfectly fine.
All right. Let's get into this.
What up?
So, again, Miami won a game on the road against a team that obviously is with an interim head coach, has hired a big name coach, obviously is going to supposedly invest in the program. But again, on the road, tough stadium, ridiculously tough stadium, like really raucous, tough stadium yesterday. But the college football committee continues to just go anytime they address anything because nothing makes sense. Not one explanation they have put out about why the University of Miami is where they are. Nothing makes sense. I hadn't even heard of tiers or pods or whatever until like 2 weeks ago. All of the stuff. And so this brings me to style points and whether Miami needed to win. But like yesterday I was like, hey, they didn't cover, and I got told that I gambled too much, which is not really that true. I mean, look. Like yes, here's what I do every Saturday, right? I put like $10 on the Miami game in some way, shape, or form, right? I lost yesterday because I took the over and for them to cover. But then the only other gambling I do is I take $5 and I just pick like 13 games. So that if all of that happens, I win like a lot of money with like not much effort. That's all of my gambling. So it's not my gambling. I was simply stating that, hey, the committee's not going to have watched this game. They're just going to look at the score. They're going to say Miami did not cover against Virginia Tech that doesn't have a head coach. And you know what? That's just another reason to screw them. That was my thought process.
It's a reasonable process, and we've already seen similar things to that. By virtue of the committee now trying to push the narrative, oh, well, Miami escaped the Notre Dame game with a walk-off field goal and blah, blah. Miami dominated Notre Dame and had like 2 or 3 defensive lapses, really it was 2, that allowed Notre Dame to stick around and make the score look competitive look way more competitive than the game actually was. But now you get scoreboard-only watchers and these Notre Dame sycophants who are just putting that up. Like, oh, well, you barely did it. I saw y'all's comments during the game, bro. We can go pull the receipts on Twitter. Like, no Notre Dame fan believes or felt, oh, well, they were in control of that game and Miami just eked one out and slipped away. You know what I mean? But you have that, and you are correct. there is no consistency in the evaluation. All they're doing is creating whatever they're saying, whatever they need to say to support screwing Miami over. It is very clear. We've talked about it before. Every head-to-head matchup between ranked teams, the result thereof has the team that beat the other team with the same record ahead. For example, Oklahoma in front of Texas, right? And for many weeks, there were 5 such instances in the rankings where both teams were ranked. One team had beaten the other, and the winning team was ranked ahead in 4 of those instances. The exception, Miami behind Notre Dame. And Miami tiers below Notre Dame. And I did see this, and you can look it up, as what is published by the College Football Playoff Committee, where they look at teams in groups, basically. So 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, 13 through 16, and then but they're intentionally putting these meat shield teams in front of Miami to keep Miami out of the top 12 so as not to engender a conversation about Notre Dame versus Miami, which is shenanigans. And I get that everybody, you can say what you want to say. Oh, the committee is full of contradictions. They say it doesn't matter when a team loses, but then Miami has lost more recently than Notre Dame. But you just said when a team loses is inconsequential and not part of the process, right? You say that head-to-head matters, but you're not going to compare. Oh, well, we can't do that because they're placed in a different tier. You're the ones who do the freaking placing. So, like, what foundation do you have to put them up there? None. It is... I'm getting myself worked up. I feel
but it is what it is. Should be worked up. Yeah, you should be worked up.
No, it's stupid. I am. Yeah, it is stupid, and like it is. It's just, yeah, it's the response that I hated most when I was a child was because I said so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I am a chapter.
And by the way,
I'm not even a
as a parent, I have used that a lot over the last 18 years.
I am not a parent, but I used it when I was a teacher because it was a similar kind of a thing. But like, even if it wasn't the necessarily entire truth, even as a youth, I would appreciate, like, can I just have an answer as to why? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't go play with my cousins. Why? Because I said so. That's not. Even if it's like, we have chores to do, I won't like it, but give me the truth. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. But like, it's very because I said so, and like, yeah, and you're ignoring a lot of different things. I saw, our good friend Gio Milian tweeting a bunch of different things outside of a couple of games. Notre Dame has feasted on the dregs of the earth in the world of college football this year. Like, they've played a collection of the worst teams in the country, and 8 of their wins are against bottom feeders, right? Now, they beat them, and they beat them soundly in some instances, but why are these wins against 1 and 2 win teams oh so valuable? You know what I mean? Like, you played the 3 worst teams in the SEC and ACC. Actually, 4, because you played Boston College, you played Stanford. No, Stanford next week. You're going to play, Arkansas, worst team in the SEC, and then Stanford, Boston College, and Syracuse in the ACC. I think those teams combined have 6 wins between the 4 of them. And beating them to sleep is like, that separates you from them from Miami for playing a terrible quality of opponent for a third of their schedule. And that's not even going into all of the bad teams. Oh, well, that doesn't matter. How does that not matter? You know what I mean? Like, it just... I'm so very vexed, Beast. I'm so pissed.
I just want to ask this question because I don't know what to make of this. Because
nothing good, I'll tell you that, but go ahead.
Miami handily beat Syracuse. Okay. Did what they had to do, beat them, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But then Notre Dame yesterday obliterated Syracuse in ways I can't even imagine. But part of me went off the deep end with conspiracy because Fran Brown hates Mario, hates Miami.
Yes.
And I feel like he literally just threw guys out there that he might have found like on the quad, like some sort of physics students, just threw them out there with a walk-on quarterback just to get pummeled by Notre Dame, just to shove it in Miami's face. Now,
I don't disagree.
How much do I really believe that? I'm not sure. But one could make the case this is something that may or may not have happened.
Look.
And, by the way, doesn't matter.
So Ricky Collins, a transfer from LSU.
I just I have a headache thinking about it.
That's I hear you.
Holding my head.
The transfer quarterback from LSU had gotten benched.
Yes.
And then they said, you know what, we're going to run that back against Miami. I know that he's not good, but he's better than a walk-on lacrosse player. So they bench him again. They bench several other players again. They hold out a couple other players again. Then they just kind of go through the motions. It was 21-0 Notre Dame in the first quarter. And they scored on 2 pick sixes and a blocked punt return that got tipped up in the air, batted and caught by a guy at the 30 who walks up the sideline and there's nobody by him. So before Notre Dame's offense got on the field, they were already up 21-0.
Yeah, when I looked at the stats, I expected Notre Dame to have like 700 yards of offense, and that was not the case.
No. I was not expecting Syracuse to beat Notre Dame. I didn't even really expect them to be competitive. They gave them the game. They gave them the score. Like they gave it to Notre Dame. Notre Dame scored the most points that they've scored in like 60 years. They had the largest margin of victory that they've had in almost 70 years last week. Yesterday against Syracuse, right? So this is teams who have been in the national championship game, teams that have played terrible teams, even terrible Syracuse teams. And Syracuse just abdicated any kind of opposition and let them go. And you could tell, and I watched a little bit of this game. Miami is everybody's Super Bowl. And they tried to pull out the stops. They did as much as they could against Miami. And it wasn't much because they don't have anything. I mean, like, it took us playing our fourth stringers on senior day for them to get a touchdown late because they let their starters in.
Yes.
You know, but like something like that, right? And then they just said, cool, we're going to take half the starting lineup out. We're going to take the one viable quarterback that we have at this level out, and we're going to let Notre Dame run roughshod. And then ESPN and every other media partner is saying, well, the only direct analogous performance between these teams is Notre Dame 70, Syracuse 7, and Miami 41. Syracuse or 42, Syracuse 7. Henceforth, therefore, and it's just, it's.
So, all right, when the CFP comes out Tuesday night, in a perfect world, Utah would be behind Miami because don't even get me started. Don't even like. Cam, we could spend another 3 hours on all of this. And it, unfortunately,
this is the other thing.
Biscuit. Yeah.
This is the other thing. And I tweeted it and I believe it. Like, this is a sport-wide conspiracy against Miami. Like, K-State scores to go up 12 at Utah. They go for 2 to go to up 14. There's clear pass interference on the 2-point play. They throw a flag immediately. It gets tipped around. Utah returns it for a pick 2 to go down 10. And they're like, there's no foul. What? What are you talking about? Now, K-State did enough after that to lose game. But like, bro. You got to be freaking kidding me. Cincinnati losing to BYU. Needed that, didn't get it. Like every ounce of help, other than Pitt beating Georgia Tech to keep Miami alive, potentially for the ACC Championship game. Every ounce of help that could have been given to Miami by another team's performance was not given. And any call or situation against those teams to inhibit their performance, to hurt Miami or not give them the help of a team right in front of them losing, which, again, Utah should not be ranked in front of Miami to begin with, but they're just a meat shield to keep that Miami out of the same cadre as Notre Dame, which is stupid, but whatever. It just... I'm going to. I don't know.
Yep. Deep breaths, my friend.
I don't know.
Okay, so here's my thought process. Okay, I'm gonna try to be positive. Okay. I feel like if Miami can defeat Pittsburgh next week, it'll all work out. I'm just gonna go with that. I'm just gonna think that I don't care what comes out on Tuesday night. I don't care what happens. I'm just in some way, shape, or form. I'm gonna for the next week gonna feel like. If Miami can just beat Pitt, it'll all work itself out and we'll be okay and we'll make it to the CFP. I'm just going to go with that because if I start thinking about anything else, I'm going to probably hurt myself by putting my head through a wall. So I'm just going to be positive, for the next 10 days or whatever it is, okay?
I don't want to do that with you because this wall in front of me is stone. But yeah, I'm with you. We got to.
So I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah. Sure,
now,
I'm with it.
Let's continue this. Yeah. Miami has to beat Pitt, okay? Okay. Boom. Miami has to beat Pitt. Going back to the start of the show an hour ago, when we talked about when I mentioned, hey, Malaichi Toney had a career day, despite the fact that every coach knows they got to stop Malaichi Toney. The one guy, as it relates to defense, that knows how to draw it up. Well, not just the one guy, but a really great defensive-minded head coach is Pat Narduzzi at the University of Pittsburgh. Okay, they've got a quarterback that's hot right now, that's dishing well. They've got a lot of good athletes on that team. They haven't had the year that I really thought they were going to be a little bit more special this year, but they're in contention to be in the ACC Championship themselves. They're a good team. It's going to be on the road. It's going to be in the 20s from what I see right now. We don't do well when it's in the cold because, of course. So winning a game at Pitt is no sure thing, and I'm a little bit worried, to be honest with you. So I'm going to just put that out there with all of that. But Miami's got to beat Pitt, and then that's, I think, going to be enough. I'm going to go with that. But again, if they want to get to the ACC Championship or really have a real concrete way to the college football playoff, they need to root for a bunch of other teams next week, and I hate that.
True. They do need to root for other teams to get to the ACC Championship game, and I'm going to ask you to throw that tab I just shared up on the screen.
There it is.
So this is on stateofview.com, written by yours truly late last night. The Miami Hurricanes path to the ACC Championship game, Week 14.
By the way, I'm only laughing because of the amount of content Cam has put out in the last 12 hours. But okay, go ahead.
You're welcome to B-Stand, everybody. So just so you see that, it's on the front page of stateofview.com. Please go over, fan with us, check it out. So I did have it slightly wrong early, so I did edit it, and I put a note that I edited this piece so it's accurate. What Miami needs to get the ACC Championship game is on your screen in front of you. Number one, they need to win at Pitt. Nothing else matters if Miami doesn't win. And people love to say that they love to come in the comment, well, you didn't say that what they didn't. So I said it up top. Miami has to win. And Miami needs losses by two of the following three teams, at least. Duke to Wake Forest, SMU to Cal, Virginia to Virginia Tech. Doesn't matter which two, but we need at least two of them to lose. That conglomeration of results will put Miami into the ACC Championship game. right? SMU and Virginia lose, it's Miami Duke. SMU and Duke lose, Miami Virginia. Virginia and Duke lose, it's Miami SMU. If they all three lose, then Georgia Tech is back in against Miami. I embedded the tweet where that you mentioned earlier from Jordan McPherson, who started looking at different, opponent records and things like that. That is a factor and could be like a tertiary thing that comes down the pike in terms of that. But for ease of understanding, get at least two of those three, and it should work out in that way that I outlined there without really getting to the other part of things. The thing is, you're going to have tiebreakers at 6 and 2 against other teams, which is where the opponent records in conference and things like that go or come into play. But yeah, there's a measure of that as well. But I mean, it's more or less that. So win against Pitt, again, that's the first thing. So don't say I just put up other things and I ignored the fact that Miami has to be successful. Miami has to win the game to get to 10 and 2 and 6 and 2 in conference. That is a prerequisite. I hope that you all heard me. I hope that you all saw that. I hope that you all, because again, I see so many comments of people coming to me social about, and then at least two of the three, SMU, Duke, and Virginia, also have to lose. Boom. And yeah, but again, listening to ESPN and other broadcasts, you wouldn't even know that Miami has a chance to get to the ACC Championship game because it's only about Pitt and it's only about these other teams. It's only about anybody else.
Late in
whatever. Us against the world, bro.
Late in the Pitt Georgia Tech game last night, they did bring it up, but that was like the one broadcast out of the 27.
It was so in passing. But then again, it was a Pitt game, so I get the focus is going to be there. But like the lack of even mentioning it until in passing with 37 seconds left was disingenuous. But whatever. Fine.
Yes. All right. That'll do it for us on the recap show.
I will finish my coffee.
Yes, perfect timing. I will discuss with Cam when we are going to record this week's upcoming episode as we preview the game against Pitt and talk about where we are in the CFP and all of that other stuff. Let's try to get it out before Thanksgiving so people will have something to listen to while they're driving to Auntie's house for Thanksgiving or while they're preparing their turkey at home. So we will do that. We will get it out before Thanksgiving. And, I hope as everyone has family coming into town or is traveling and all that stuff, be safe. We will, don't do anything stupid on the road. There's a thing called Uber or Lyft. Feel free to use it.
All AAA.
Yep. They all have.
There are free services as well. If you have had too many adult beverages, be sure that you take care of yourselves and also others, because the thing that people sometimes forget is that when you're on the road, you're sharing it with everybody else. Correct. You are please don't hurt yourselves, please don't hurt anybody else. I know that we never want to leave our vehicles in other places and have to go back and get them, but being safe to wake up tomorrow and do that is the more important thing. So please everyone be smart as you're out there and celebrating, your time off with friends and family wherever you are.
That is without a doubt the case. We will talk to you before Thanksgiving, so we'll wish you a happy Thanksgiving on the next episode. Until that, we will see you next time right here, the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.